Just gonna sit. Not say very much because there's not much to actually say. Round 18 is done. Saints 57. Richmond 111. 9-goal loss, 54-point loss. Felt like a 100-point loss. And really, probably the most disinterested I've probably been at the football this year. I was actually pretty excited going into this game. I thought, based on... we beat Carlton, who are next to nothing in terms of skill and competitiveness, but I thought, memories from last year, it's at Etihad, Richmond coming off a loss, not playing that well the last couple of weeks. We seem to be getting a little bit of mojo, and hey Stuart, how's it going? But this is just a very evident reminder that we are incredibly off the pace and just so far from where we want to be and so far from the top teams, it's not funny. I don't know how this was a 9-goal loss. It should have been worse. Richmond put the cue in the rack 10 minutes into the game that was done. When Dusty got that free kick in the first minute, I knew we were in for a tough night. And I reckon this year, I've never seen us be that poor in our effort, in our tackling. Third quarter we came out and clearly at half-time something was said. But then, you're going to get 10 minutes of just, they're going to try and then it just goes away. And that's exactly what happened. It was just, I don't even know where to... there's no one that stood out to me. I think Gresham had 25 and kicked 2. Junk time. Mav Waller did nothing. Hunter Clark looked off the pace, should have been rested. Gilbert should not play ever again. Hickey was actually okay, I thought. Did alright on Nankervis, probably the only Saint to probably beat his opposing player. Dusty was insanely good. I haven't seen him kick like that, field kicking wise, in a long time. And it just, I thought, I keep saying, we're a good team, but we're just going through the motions this season. But when you see performances like this, and in other games that we've played, it's kind of like, are we a good team in bad form, or are we just a bad team in normal form, just playing the way a bad team plays? And occasionally we get the odd win against Melbourne or whatever. I don't want to be too negative, but there's not much to say, guys. It's the first time I don't really have anything to critique. Geary was shit. Absolutely shit. I saw Armitage was lining up on Dusty a few times at the centre bounce, which was interesting because I thought, based on last season, I think in this game when we won by a lot, we played Sebros head-to-head. But in this game, it seemed a bit different, a bit more just let them do what they want. I don't want to talk too much about Richmond, but this is the first time I get to go to the MCG last time when we played them and we were okay. But thanks, Max. Really top-notch there, mate. You can just leave now. Richmond are a very good team, and we were a very poor team. And the way they move the ball, it doesn't even need to hit the target, but the fact they constantly keep it moving, they constantly tap it, push it along the ground, just bomb it to space because they know that their teammate is going to sprint hard, get to the ball, make a contest. The amount of goals that they got where the ball should have gone out of bounds, it should have been killed, and we weren't good enough to do that. They would somehow get it back into play and kick goals from it, and it was just outstanding to watch, but obviously very frustrating because they were doing it against my team. But you see them do it every week, and you knew this was going to happen. They bombed it to the goal square, and more Saints went up to get it. It fell to ground, and that's where they want it. That's their sweet spot, and their smalls went to work. It wasn't about the talls. Ruel kicked his 2 or 3 goals. I don't know what it was in the end, but it was all about the smalls, and it's every week. They've got the most predictable game plan in football right now, but no one can stop it. No one can stop it, and we couldn't get close to them. I thought, going into this, if we could stick with them for a half, our confidence can grow. But the thing that we do so well, and so annoyingly well, is putting ourselves out of a game within the first quarter. Can we just stay with them? Is there no plan B that if a team gets a run on, put players back, slow it down? We just didn't do anything. We just let them have their own way, and that was kind of the case for the entire game. So yeah, it was very disappointing. There's not much else to say. I can go through some of these comments and just read through them. Darren says Saints look very flat. Shane says not good, mate, but sometimes there's more important things than the score. Like what exactly? Just enjoying football, because I didn't really do that tonight. Grant says we're not good. Grant says we're good against poor and poor against the good. It's a great thing. 3 votes Dusty, 100%. Too many passengers. Yeah, couldn't really. That's probably us in a nutshell. The only highlight of the night was the goal from Steve. That was actually, sorry, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Jack Stevens' goal was ridiculous. I was kind of on a good angle to see it, and I did not expect it to go in. That's probably goal of the year, and that's probably the only positive thing to come from this year at the moment. Somehow Richmond have made quantum leaps in all areas. They have. I always say that Richmond are all pressure and no skill, but tonight they showed both and more. So they're going to be finishing top. They're going to be deep in finals and probably going for back-to-back the way they're playing. And Christopher says we all push forward and about 3 people push back. Yep. There was actually one point where I saw Hunter Clark was one-on-one with, I think it was Caddy, and then Carlisle was the only one that turned. Geary was there but didn't say anything. Carlisle turned and said, no, you go forward, I'm going to stay back. And he took initiative, which was good, but you know, if no one else does that, Hunter Clark's thinking, well, I can't run off Caddy, and he's stuck one-on-one with one of the bigger Richmond players, and Hunter Clark's obviously not a big guy. Massive mismatch, and I was just telling my mate, like, how we've mismatched everyone all over the field. Richo was out coached, he didn't change anything. I'm amazed he didn't throw Carlisle forward. That's kind of his plan B, but that didn't happen. But yeah, that's a good point. Sorry. It was a great cause. I've just got to clarify. I'm just upset in the loss, but as a whole, they raised a lot of money. The government announced $1 million, so that was good. They raised $1.4 million. I think it was like $500 a Saints goal. It's annoying that we didn't kick more goals, but Dare donated $500 a goal, so it was like $4,500 or something there. Donated, which is amazing. 36,000 was probably not as big a crowd as I was anticipating, because we got 35 last week against Carlton, but only 36 tonight. I thought maybe we'd get 40, 45 if Richmond fans would turn up, but they probably all thought, well, it's going to be an easy win, and I'll just stay home and not go in the cold. Christopher says, big positive was Hunter Clark, though. Had poise. I don't know if I can agree with you on that, mate. Sorry about that. Stuart Smith, Carlisle can't run, which is a problem. And how would I improve us? Well, firstly, I would drop players that don't deserve to play, like Mav Weller would come out, Gilbert would come out. I'd probably just tell Geary to pull his finger and actually act like a captain on field and not just point fingers, because there was a lot of pointing. And that's another thing I noticed was when someone wanted the ball, they weren't running into space to get the ball. They were just like, hey, pass it to me. Whereas Richmond don't do that. They literally ran in waves and they were pointing, doing this. Like, the way they were running was so polar opposite of what we were doing, and just played into their hands. The slower we played, the better they got, the more pressure they put on us. When we started to play a bit faster through the middle in that third quarter, it caused them more problems, and I think we had the first 5 inside 50s in the third and kicked a couple of goals, but that quickly was stopped. That's what good teams do when a team gets a roll and they stop it. But apart from that 10-minute spell in the third quarter where Gresham kicked that incredible goal, we didn't really do too much. What did you think of Rice? I thought Rice was okay. I mean, obviously he was off with, I think, concussion in that first or second quarter, and he came back on and did a really good job. So yeah, he is tough as nails. I agree with you, Shane. He was a bit of not really a standout, but he was a warrior, and he definitely wasn't a passenger. He was a tough player, and he tried his best, unlike a lot of players tonight that just went through the motions. Armitage was okay. I thought he tried hard. I thought Stephen gave away so many holding the balls, and so much of his game tonight went wrong, but he was always intent. He had intent when he got the ball. He was trying to take players on, create some sort of motion, but no one around him was moving, so he'd go to get it, like he did in that second quarter or third quarter, where he got the ball in the back line, got pinned holding the ball, but it was because no one was around him. It wasn't his fault. He looked up and there were no options. And there were so many stages where we won a free kick and then someone would handball it, but then he'd handball it and then turnover because they didn't expect a handball. And then everyone was just handballing to everyone. I don't know if we had more handballs than kicks, but that's one thing you don't fucking do against Richmond is handball the ball because they're going to tackle the shit out of you. And that's what they did to us tonight. And they got so many easy turnover goals from that. And that was it. Geary Grant says, I wonder if Geary best spot might be as pressure forward as he's probably not in our best backline. That could be interesting. I thought Nunes was quiet. Could be good to maybe swap them, see what happens. Carlisle has no heart and looks to... Who would have heart when, the ball's coming in every single time he tries to clear it? Like, the midfield needs to stand up a bit more. The ball comes out of defence. The forwards did nothing tonight. Battle was pretty disappointing, but I can give him he's just come back from injury and he's a young player. Marshall was okay, took a good mark, and I think he kicked the goal in the second quarter, I think it was. Who do you bring in for Mavwala? Nick is asking me. That's an easy one. There's a number of players. There's Hugh Goddard that should be playing and not Gilbert. Nick Caulfield should come in and rest Hunter Clark for a week because Hunter Clark looks burnt out. And then obviously I'd bring Nathan Freeman in for probably Mavwala, and Freeman can rotate half forward flank and then maybe push onto a wing depending on how his tank goes, but you start him at half forward flank because he probably can't run a full game out at AFL level just yet. We'll see how he goes at Sandy this weekend though. And Shane says, way too much handball, but that's a coach instruction. It is, and we didn't change it. We didn't go direct. Richmond are renowned for being a very long kicking team. They do like to flick the ball around, but they play it when it's on, not all the time. We try to play too fast. It's good to do it in moderation, but we didn't do that, and it got us into trouble, and that created turnovers, and they scored easy goals on the counter. Classic Richmond game. We played exactly the way they wanted us to play, and it made it super easy. Tough night for Saints forwards. No. I saw Battle making so many leads, and we just bombed it over his head. Membry had a bit of an off day, I thought. He's the only player in the first quarter that didn't have a disposal. He had donuts. He had zero, everything. He got back into it and kicked a good goal. But, you do that when the game's done. We needed to stand up when the game's on the line in the first 10 minutes, but it didn't happen. I might wrap it there, guys, because I've got footy myself in the morning. First game in a couple of weeks. I've been out sick, but I'm playing tomorrow, so hopefully I can continue. I think we're second on the ladder, playing top of the ladder, so it's a big game. It should be good. New captain, it's not going to happen anytime soon, and who's putting their hand up? No one's putting their hand up. Luke Dunstan, I thought, could be a potential. Seb Ross, obviously, is probably the only choice, but he, again, doesn't look like a superstar leader. A couple of his kicks tonight were just awful. Pretty average night, guys, I'm going to be honest. Not the best night for football. And obviously, Blake Acres, sorry, to come back in would be good too. Bold selection and creative positional moves need to be made. No guts, no glory. 100%. Stuart says, good luck, mate. Have an awesome day. Thanks, mate. I'll try and cheer up. I'll leave it there, guys. Keep your comments coming. I'll answer them when I can. And yeah, thanks again for watching. I don't mean to be a bit of a downer when I, do these reviews. I want to be as positive as I can, but we were poor. The only positive from tonight was Jack Stephen's goal and raising a lot of money for an amazing cause for such a great family. The Rewalt family, they deserve all of this, and they've gone through so much. And Nick and Jack have done a phenomenal job in raising all of this money and creating so much awareness for such a shit disease. But I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.